Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Why do you always have to, like...
What?
Counteract my hello? You're always like... Scott's the crazy one. I'm John, I'm the normal one. Hi, everybody.
I'm just gonna let that just hang yourself on that one.
I'm Scott.
I'm John.
And...
We
are married.
Married.
You didn't do a very good job. Okay, you need energy. We're on energy. Okay. So we are a knitting podcast. We are not a baking podcast.
Sadly, no, but we're trying. We're trying to be a hybrid.
I need to figure out. So we talked about this in the past.
And you made bars yesterday.
I know, but
like
I don't
delicious bars.
I don't know how to film it. Is the problem. We're called Sweet Tea No Shade on... Well, I'm Sweet Tea No Shade on Ravelry.
Mm-hmm.
You are...
I love you, I know.
On Ravelry.
Mm-hmm.
I am Sweet Tea No Shade on Instagram. And I think we're Sweet Tea No Shade on YouTube as well. Of course, people don't need hints on getting to YouTube, probably because they're seeing this on YouTube. I was Scott A for a while. But I think I finally got my name switched to Sweet Tea No Shade.
So when I want to look for our episode, I just Google Sweet Tea No Shade, and I'm pretty sure our channel is called Sweet Tea No Shade.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What?
We have to talk about the other podcast we need to talk about.
Okay, well, I don't know what you're talking about, but we'll get to it. So, I am trying to make this also... I would like to do baking segments at the end after the knitting stuff. I do not know how to film that. I tried... I don't know how to film it. I wonder if we get a better tripod. The tripod that we have was a gag gift. Not kidding. Was a gag gift from a friend.
It's not very good.
Because we have a book club. Well, I'm not supposed to talk about the book club. We don't have a book club. But let's say we were to have a book club. We made our book club a secret, and so...
You are digging the hole so deep right now.
That made it fun because it was a secret because we're elitist bitches. But I can't say that word. Can I beep that out? I wonder if I can learn how to beep it out.
You have too much energy.
I do have too much energy. Okay, knitting content. Let's focus. But anyway, the tripod that we have is a gag gift that my friend Steve, who.
We love.
We do? I always wanted to take a group picture every meeting, and I could never get the camera to stand up and be able to take a picture and blah, 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 or the phone that we use as a camera. And so he bought me that as a gag gift, and that's what we use to film our podcast. And we need a real one. I wonder if I had a better tripod. Because the problem is, like, filming from above. Because if the food's down here, you need to film from above.
Right.
And when you got gunk all over your hands, you can't hold... I don't know how I'm going to do it.
We need to get a drone.
That would just hover.
Like a remote control drone.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I want to do it, and I'll figure out... That 2018 will be the year of figuring out how to do a podcast. Okay, I'm not going to pull on my shirt 15 times this episode either. All right, so...
There's also a mini-sode.
I hope it's a mini-sode. We've said that before. I don't think it'll be as long. I don't think it'll be an hour. Ours are typically an hour, and I don't think it'll be that long. But we are the reason we're doing an episode today. I was going to say we are the Sweet Tea No Shade podcast.
Yeah.
Like,
you said that already.
The episode, the reason we're doing it, we don't normally do an episode quite this often, but the reason that we're doing one is because our knit-along is complete.
I know. Wow.
2 months flew by, and neither of us completed a pair of handwear during
I got one, and my other one is up to about there. So I need to do the... Like, 2 more rows, and then you do the fingers again. So mine will be done if I keep at it, which I will, because otherwise it's going to be half... Yeah.
You'll get it done.
Right, but I need to...
Because yours actually fits you.
Right. But I also have, because I am already thinking forward to the next project, I don't. Like, I'm just like, why are you in my way? Why are you in my way of other things I want to do?
Yeah, because you hate knitting.
I don't hate knitting. I just, anyway.
You know what you are?
What?
You're a, what are those people called? Like, not a spoiled sport or a worrywart. curmudgeon? You're a knitting curmudgeon? I think that's what you are, is a knitting curmudgeon.
Okay, but deep down inside, I love the world. Because I've been hurt by it.
Girl. Okay, so we have winners to announce.
Yay.
And then we have a bunch of other random topics that I want to talk about. I've got a couple finished objects, small finished objects, and stuff like that. So let's start by announcing the winners. So I didn't have the prizes in front of me, so that's why we had to take a little pause there. So first we drew for the sock-sized bag donated by Rick from Whimsy Stitches. Mm-hmm. I'll have the information in the show notes, which I think I'm in a rhythm now with the show notes, and I'm actually going to do them consistently. So Rick from Whimsy Stitches, this awesome bag. It's clear all the way around in the middle. Mm-hmm. And that was number 55, which, well, let me just finish the information. 55, Joy Ryder, who is Marion in Schleswig-Holstein, Germany. Which I don't know where in Germany that is. I'll have to look it up. And just for funny information, Marion, the Holstein is like, we know it as a type of cow. I wonder if
it's probably from there.
From there, but Schleswig-Holstein in Germany. And so we will be mailing this to you. So if you could reach out to me on Ravelry, I'll probably also message you on Ravelry just so that we get connected, and then you can send me your mailing address. So congratulations. And okay, the funny part is, if we...
So we did...
in the Wayback Machine, go ahead.
So we did... The way we picked this is we did a random number generator, and there were 64 entries. And so we went into randomnumbergenerator.com or whatever.
Just random.org.
.gov.
.edu.
Yeah. And we entered in number between 2 and 64 because the number 1 post was Scott's setup post, and that really wouldn't be fair for it to win.
That'd be awesome if I won on the setup post.
Right, for not entering something.
Right. Well, yeah.
So we hit it, and 55 came up first. So
yes, 55 came up first. So that's, like I said, that's Joy Ryder. But the funny
Winter.
thing... No, Ryder. This is I can read my own handwriting. The R is connected to the I.
Like it's supposed to be.
So the funny thing is, and if we go to the Wayback Machine in the last episode, I was talking about the Dalek myths,
which is what she did.
They're actually called Bad Robot by Laura Hohman, Hohman, which is in the Geek Knits book, which is an awesome book that I don't understand why we don't own it. But anyway, I said, it was last episode of the episode.
We were mildly obsessed with them,
right? Because we are big nerds, big sci-fi fans, big Doctor Who fans. I did Doctor Who socks,
right? And the other thing about this, the journey. So can
I finish this?
No, I've got other things to say. So the fun thing about that one is, Marion started knitting them and then had to pull them all out and then re-knit them and finished, which just shows how sad we are because I'm assuming it's a she, correct me if I'm wrong, but we didn't finish either one of our pairs.
Yeah.
And this person...
Marion...
Right, did they
knit...
ripped out
a big part, started over, and then again, there are several people like New Dawn Knits and Victoria Jean who did multiple things.
I know, it makes me feel so not inadequate because whatever, but
I mean, you are inadequate.
Oh shush! No, it just makes me feel sad that I don't knit fast enough.
I'm the one who's inadequate anyway because of my... But anyway, we'll get to our non-finished
Mine
objects.
is more finished than yours.
Yours is way more finished than mine. So anyway, on a previous episode we were talking about that, and I said, oh, well, it'll be really funny if she wins, everybody will think we're cheating and we didn't use a random number because we were so excited about the Dalek
We really
myths.
did, I promise.
So we really, really did. So, Marion, you will be getting this bag from Rick. The next... thing we did, the next number that came up was number 9, Knit Addict New York, which is Patricia from Morristown, New York, and she did the ones that won were the convertible mittens by Andy Satterlund.
And they were really a pretty gray color, and I liked the yarn a lot she used.
Yeah, so can you hold that up for me again?
I already did.
So this is oh, you're gonna make people seasick, honey. Just hold it. So this is it's a sweater size bag. It's from Missy from Minnesota is the name of the maker. I think that's the name of her Etsy shop. And her name is actually Linda. She has and go ahead and show the inside. It has it has whiskey bottles on the outside and a really cool lined inside. So it's got a really cool zipper and a little fringy. What are you doing, John?
So I promise. So I don't. We will thoroughly go over this with the cat roller.
Yes, let's not talk about that, please. Everything in our house is
covered in cat.
Yeah, so it's
well, it's just a dark color, and so it's like
we put it up on a shelf, and it still has a couple little spots, but we'll take care of it. Yeah. So can you please hold it up and hold it still? So this is from Missy, Minnesota, sweater size bag, and so again, Patricia, I'll reach out to you and get your mailing address, and that'll be out in the mail to you.
Yay!
So great job. And then
we had a bunch that we just to sort of. I mean, not that we wanted to, you know.
We can't show all of the. I mean, first of all, I don't know that it makes sense to show all of the finished objects on the podcast. Most other podcasts, YouTube knitting shows don't do that. You can go onto our Ravelry group and see all of the finished objects. We'll be sure to leave those up. But there were a couple that jumped out at us that either we wanted to do or seemed particularly complicated or the yarn spoke to us or whatever, and we just wanted to mention those just because it's nice to recognize the work that people did.
One of the things that I really liked about doing this knit along is like, so I had never even thought about doing gloves or mittens. It seemed like something that I was like, I'm just do hats and scarves the rest of my life, maybe a sweater. But this kind of like, oh, I can do this, and then kind of looking through this, it's like, oh, I could do that one, that would be fun, that'd be fun, that'd be fun, that'd be fun. So,
and we live in the perfect climate for this kind of stuff. I always feel bad for my mom, for BA, because she lives in a tropical climate. I mean, it's not technically tropical, but
she can like knit like very lacy things.
Yeah,
lady gloves.
She knit me. She texted me yesterday.
She finished.
Oh yeah.
Oh
crap.
My god.
We don't. I'm okay. We're gonna have to. I'll have to text her after we record and make sure that my mom, that Betty Ann's. It'll be like a mini Betty Ann update where we show her finished object for this.
So basically, your mom finished objects and we didn't.
I know. Well, she's retired. We can say that.
Still.
So. What was I saying about that though? Betty Ann's finished objects.
So we like seeing ones that we can do because
she lives in South Georgia where I'm from, and she still lives there. That sounded awkward. She always is like, oh, I wish, you know. Oh, that's what it was. She texted me from the other day, and she's like, it's 77 or 64 or something. It was like in the. For the non-Fahrenheit users, it's warm. It's like room temperature in most places is 70, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was like around that temperature.
Not
outside in around Christmas.
Not
time.
Glove weather.
Not glove weather, and it never is there. So plus she's hot-natured. So okay, so some of the ones we want to talk about. First of all, New Dawn Knits, who did several different things, which was impressive. And so I'm curious. There was one that you did that jumped out at me, which was number 7, which was a pair of mitts. But the thing was, in your pattern, I looked into your pattern, your project page, and you talked about the fact that you did it with tidbits of leftover yarn. But there was particularly, it was like black yarn with rainbow tweed spots. And I'm just curious if you know anything about that yarn. I'm sure I could probably Google it or something, but that yarn was super awesome. So I'm just wondering if you remembered what that yarn was. Victoria Jean also did several, but the one that jumped out at us was number 13. That was the little tit birds.
Yeah, the tit birds.
Yeah.
With the color work and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that was really cool with the little birds on it. Emilahowski, I think. These are the Ravelry names. Number 20. Oh yeah, I think I messaged her already, but she did the Minecraft mitts, which for those of you who don't know, Minecraft is a video game that I have devoted huge chunks of my life to. I don't know what it is about this game. It's what they call a sandbox game, where you basically go in and use blocks to build stuff, and I don't know how to. It's like Legos on steroids. I don't know how to describe it, but anyway, there's a monster in that game that's called the Creeper, and she did Creeper mitts. It's pretty awesome. I think it was for her son, if I remember correctly. Captain 1212, which was which was entry number 23. Do you remember the name of the mittens?
They're elephants. They were amazing.
They were amazing, and I was just so impressed at how clear the color work was. It just looked almost like it had been printed with a printer or something. I mean, it was like so clear.
Yeah.
It's probably, obviously the work was, the quality of the work was good, but I'm wondering if it also had something to do with the yarn that was used for it. So, Sparkling Water 000 was
The
number
vines,
38. So
they're like long green with vines on those. So they're really cool.
yeah, which I did mine. My half of an entry was also vines,
Right.
so
But theirs were like 3D.
yeah,
So it was done instead of with color work, it was done with shaping,
right.
if that's the right term.
Shaping is, I think, more like when you take a garment and you shape
No.
it for the waist or something. It was texture.
Texture?
It was how the knits and pearls were done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you liked this
Little
one.
Bush Baby 29.
Number 29
on
is
the
entry.
is the entry, and it was just a very cool one because it had the fingers were all different colors. So it was like 5 colors, and the fingers were all different colors, and then all the color, those 5 colors were also in the color work. So that was really kind of very cool. And then the Sally Wren number 42, which is the Lego Man knits, Man mitts.
They look like the little Lego cans.
Those are super cool. And then what else? Elle White, who did number 45, which they had kitten mittens. And they had whiskers.
We're obviously very big fans of kitten stuff, even though I don't want to be that person, but I
Yeah.
am. We have a cat. We have 2 cats and a dog, so we're
Right.
both dog people and cat people.
Right.
And then Jay Lynn with 3 N's, which was entry number 62, did I think it's her mittens.
If we get anyone's pronouns wrong, we're really sorry.
Yes.
It's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, and I don't. It's not that we need. It's just habit to use the pronouns. But their mittens were similar to mine in the style of color work. It was a white background and with maroon color work, and it had a different pattern on the palm from the top, and so they actually finished theirs.
Yeah, I know.
And did a good job, and I bet theirs fit. But anyway, so speaking of that, do you want to put... oh, wait, I've got...
Yeah.
So we've...
But anyway, those are just ones,
sorry.
like, literally, we drew the prizes and then saw who we picked, and we just, like, scrolled through, and those are the ones that sort of jumped out at us, and it was just... it was really, really, really cool. I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I liked scrolling through, and I liked seeing what people did, and... I mean, this sounds silly, but it was kind of like touching in a way that people did our nibble
Yeah,
on.
I mean, so many people, and yeah, I mean, I think I didn't spend that much time, and I will go back probably and spend more time looking into the
Chatter thread?
yeah, because that's where the conversation, and like I said, I think part of the reason why I didn't is because I got discouraged by the way that the Ravelry does the conversations.
I just felt bad because I wasn't finishing anything.
I would like to go on and comment on the different conversations and have it flow. So because I felt, because usually what happens is I'll have a chunk of time to spend doing that, whether it's at lunch, during work, or something, and I'll go on there and I'll start commenting, and it'll show up as like 6 comments from me in the middle of the chatter thread or the bottom of the chatter thread, and so you don't know
what it's in reference to.
Yeah, maybe you do. I don't know. I just I get frustrated by that, but whatever.
But it was fun. We'll definitely do.
Yeah, so let's talk about that for a minute. So I would like to do. I mean, we haven't talked about it.
No, we haven't.
Off camera, but I would really like to do another knit along. I mean,
Yeah.
I you know, a lot of other YouTube shows do it, and I was just kind of like, oh, well, since Rick from Whimsy Stitches had reached out, and then Missy from Minnesota, Linda, who is Missy from Minnesota, you know, since they reached out and offered these prizes, that's what motivated me to do it, because I wanted to have a way to feature their stuff, and that's obviously how a lot of knit-alongs work. But you know, and so we don't have any other makers that have reached out to us and offered that, but I still would like to do them and maybe offer prizes ourselves or something.
Yeah, we could give them
Minnesota related stuff.
a big, like, oh, we know what to give them.
Don't say it, because then people are like, if we let's just come up with ideas and then.
But I was going to say, like, a big pile. We could just shave Linus and give her a big pile of Linus fluff.
We can
and
we can give you a fleece from one of our cats. How about that? Yeah, I hope the winner doesn't.
I know. Hopefully,
allergic to cats.
No, we'll figure out something. Cause like, yeah, we have stuff we could give away, and it was really fun. And again, it was about kind of building this little community around the knit along, which was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then also inspiring me to do more hand stuff. Because, like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that kind of inspired me was I'm working on my second hat. I've done a few scarves, and now I'm gonna do. I think I'm sorry, I'm rambling. Part of the problem is that I get too ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, well, I'm going to do handwear, but I'm going to do, because when I started this, I was like, I'm going to do 2 pair, and I'm going to do two color work things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, okay, Scott, you can just do a pair of mittens and get them done.
Yeah, and I actually saw a pair, not on this knit along, but because I was in the knit along, of the slub yarn. Slub yarn.
Yeah.
So I found a pattern of that I'll still probably use and do for that.
I remember that.
So,
Yeah.
but that's not even a work in progress. That's like a work in
An
future.
aspirational work in progress, like
Mm-hmm.
a whip.
An A-whip.
I just made that up.
Okay.
All right, so let's show. We have an official box for all the stuff we want to show on our podcast now. So let's show the stuff that we did related, and people will have already seen mine, but
That's okay.
they've seen.
So this was mine. It's still on there. So sad. So
John got so close.
I did, and I probably could have finished if I'd buckled down, but we had my mom in for Thanksgiving, and that Sunday where I was going to do all the work, I just wanted to take a nap.
Yeah.
So they are Jared Vlodeman's brawler gloves. Michael. Oh, Jared Flood.
You're thinking Jared Flood,
I am,
yeah.
because I like his stuff too. But this is the brawler glove. It's got a little cable here. It was fun to knit. So this is the one I've ordered. That's completed. The ends are not woven in yet, but that's because I tried weaving the ends, and it was a disaster. So I have Scott help me with this one. So that one is done. This one is almost done. And what's been fun about this one is, as you can see, so as we've talked about before, I do Portuguese knitting because I like it, and I picked it up because my hand was hurting a couple of months ago. And so when you're Portuguese knitting, the really fast, easy stitch is the purl stitch. And so a lot of people who are Portuguese knitters knit stuff inside out. So you knit on the wrong side of the fabric, and it gets faster. So this one was knit on the right side. This one has almost all been knit on the wrong side.
Because what you're showing right now is the wrong side.
Yes. So if you turn it out, it looks like this. But I've been knitting on the wrong side backwards, and so where I was, where you knit, you purl, and vice versa, blah, blah. So yeah, this is almost done. So close.
What did you say, like 5 rows before you start the fingers?
No, I'm probably at 4 rows from the fingers at this point. And so it's I got my thumb hole. It's almost done. So I might get this done this week, which I'm excited about.
This pattern uses an afterthought thumb.
Yeah. So that's fun. So it's almost done. Had there been an extra week or two in November, I could have finished it. Or if I'd... Oh! Also, so another fun thing about these ones. This is something that I talked about. So I don't know about anyone else, but I have a drop stitch phobia. dropping stitches
I'm gonna put a sound effect in there.
Dropping stitches makes me crazy. Because the stitch drops, the rescue tool is not immediately handy, and I see like my entire life, or the work, just unraveling, and I'm going to like, what do they call it? Frog it, because it's just a disaster. So Scott can attest, he's very, very patient. Like, I get very...
I have scars.
I know scars.
Emotional and physical.
Well, yeah. So anyway, so I was trying to catch up on this, and so I was knitting on the bus. So I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday, and I get the bus at 6:30 in the morning. So it's winter in Minnesota. It's not exactly bright.
I'm sorry. As you were talking about 6:30 in the morning, I was going to jump in and say, so for those of you who don't use the American system of time, I know, I feel bad because America's always like Fahrenheit and miles and gallons and pounds. And sorry, go ahead. So
anyway, so I'm on the bus at 6:30 in the morning, and I get 3 stitches in, and I drop a stitch. And so I drop a stitch.
Thank God I wasn't there.
I know. And it is the terrible bus lights moving, and it's this black part of the glove. So, like, really hard to see. Note to self, don't knit anything where the tips of your glove, the tips of your needle, are the same color as any part of your yarn. Because
especially dark.
It is crazy making. So anyway,
he's using the carbons.
Yeah, which are great needles. Great needles.
Black cable and black.
Yeah, which are, these have been great needles, but just on the black sections, it was a little crazy making. Because I would like try to count my stitches and I'd lose my mind. So anyway, I dropped the stitch on the bus, and I had to literally pick up my work, go to a better lips part of the thing, but I managed to do it and rescue it, and everything was okay. So I think I may have done one of those things. What do you call it?
Phobia exposure or exposure therapy, I think
right,
it's called.
Where like I had a drop stitch on a bus. I was able to fix it, and like everything was kind of
no
okay.
babies were murdered. No babies died during
the
rescuing of these stitches.
Right, and it was just fine. And I finished up the row, and then I put the work away, and decided never to knit fingering weight stuff on the bus ever again.
Yes.
But anyway, so it's almost done. I'm very happy with it. I've decided we've been trying to give our dog more walks lately because to get him some exercise. So I've decided these are the perfect dog walking mitts because, you know, they're warmish and they give you the flexibility to pick up
gifts that the dog leaves behind.
Right. So
you can pick up the dog gifts.
The dog gifts. So yeah, these are going to be my new...
And tell us about the yarn.
And the yarn is... bought it at Stephen B.
It's from his Nerdknit series.
Nerdknit series. And the yarn is called... colorway is called Dark Side. The Dark Side. So it's Star Warsy.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So... I'm sorry, did I?
No, I'm done.
So mine, as beautiful as it is, this is the top. You guys have seen this before. This is the top. Oops. This is the back, or the palm. I got some wonderful advice on improving this, so that I, not this specific glove, but improving my technique if I want to knit these mittens again. The big thing was I learned that you have to measure your hand, because this was 8-inch circumference hand and I have a 9 3/4 inch circumference hand. But I can't decide.
It's going to be an ornament.
If I'm going to, well, you know, I was kind of thinking about stuffing it and having it be an ornament on our Christmas tree.
That'd be great.
I think it would be kind of fun, but yeah. So anyway, I loved doing this mitten, and I'm going to try something a little less ambitious. One thing that people did talk to me about on the comments on the last video was knitting it inside out, and I had no clue what they meant by that. What John is doing is
he's knitting on the wrong side inside out.
Okay, so that's the distinction.
Mm.
I'm not going to try to explain it. There's videos just knitting inside out, I think. You can just Google that. And there's very pink knit ones where she talks about if you accidentally are knitting on the inside. But basically, it's if you're knitting in the round, normally you have your finished work coming
Towards you.
Basically, what you do is you tuck the fitted stuff, whether it's a sock or a mitten or whatever you're knitting in the round, inside. And you're still looking, you have to, well, I'm not even going to try to explain it, but basically you're still looking at your knitting the same way. It's just that rather than everything sticking out, it's sticking in. And it allows basically the floats to be on the outside of your work, which makes them looser by nature because they're on the outside of the work rather than when it's tucked, or when the right side is out, then the floats are on the inside of the work. So anyway, I did that with a Christmas ornament, and I'm going to show that in a little bit before knitting regular and knitting inside out, and you can see a huge difference. So anyway, super fun knit along. Thank you to everybody who participated. Yeah.
Great.
So let's talk about finished objects. So
I have none.
you have none. Okay. I only have two.
I don't even have any works in progress right now. All I have is the gloves.
So I have my red potatoes. I'll talk about those in a minute. But basically, I bought a book from Knit Picks, and it was Mary Knitmas, I think. I put the information in last time's show notes, and I'll put it in this. I think I even showed stuff from the inside of the book in the last video. And they have several different ornament patterns, and so they had a Christmas. It was basically Fair Isle Christmas, and they're basically supposed to be Christmas balls that are knitted, stuffed with fiberfill. And so I've done 3 now. The first one I showed pictures of last time I gave to our friend Ben and his husband John. Then I did 2. I've done 2 more. Okay, so this one, which is very potato-like, I call them my Christmas potatoes. This one, it's a little bit difficult to tell, but basically so it's got 3 color work. So it's got green for the Christmas tree, white for the snowflakes, and red for the main color. So okay, I'm going to hold it so I can stop spinning. So there's actually in several I guess you can tell, there's actually several rows where it's 3 colors of color work. Which I'd always heard like you either can't do, or it's like super hard to do, or you have to have a special technique to do. And definitely it was difficult. Yarn management was a problem because you end up with your yarn all tangled after, every row. But I watched some videos on how to do 3 color work, and I already do color work by British or American knitting with my right hand and continental knitting with my left hand, so I've got the 2 colors going. I already do that with color work, and so the 3 color work basically is you've got 2 colors in your right hand and 1 color in your left hand, and you just swap these back and forth when you need to change whatever the secondary color is. And so it was a really fun learning opportunity. The problem is I'm not super happy with the finished product because it's a potato.
Well,
and it's because the color works too
right.
tight.
It's got a little. It's almost like a kind of hourglass shape.
Yeah, and it's because the color work is too tight. So what I did was I took the whole knitting inside out thing about the mitten, and I applied that to making another ornament. So in this one I went back to just 2 color, and so this one is a little less potato shaped, and so it's got the snowflake motif on it, and I felt it was a little potato-y still. I was like, it's not perfectly spherical, and I felt like maybe
it's a new potato.
I felt like maybe the decreases and increases were not fast enough, but then I looked back at the book that the pattern came out of, and theirs looks like this too. So I don't feel like I'm doing something terribly wrong. But anyway, it really helped with the tightness of the color work, and I really liked the whole knitting inside out thing. That really worked. So those are my finished objects. I don't
Mhm.
think I had anything else to say about that.
Mm-mm.
And then I just wanted to talk briefly about another work in progress that I have, and that is the Revolution watch cap from the latest Rib magazine, which is the knitting magazine for men. And so I've made some more progress on it. So I think last time I showed this, I was just doing the
You had about this much of it done.
yeah, I just started the ribbing. So basically now you can see, let me do this with it. You can kind of see the swirl that's starting up here, and that's sequence knitting where you've got 3 knits and 3 purls, but you've got 1 too few stitches. So you end up, each row you end up going over because the pattern doesn't fit into the number of stitches that are on the row. So this is called the, I forget what it's called, but it's 1 stitch over swirl. I don't know how to say that. The swirl is 1 stitch over each row, but then up here it's 2 stitches over each row. So the swirl happens quicker for the next section. Then there's a section of broken rib, and then it starts swirling in the other direction. So this is the perfect kind of mindless knitting because it's 3 knits, 3 purls, 3 knits, 3 purls over and over and over again, but it creates something that's really cool. I think the swirling would show up better if I was using like a single color, not a variegated yarn. This is Manos del Uruguay, their silk blend, and I never knew what the colorway name was. It wasn't on the label. And I can't find it on their website anymore. So it's a blue, gray, black, silver kind of combination. But like I said, I think the swirl would show up better on a single color, but I don't care.
I think it's gorgeous.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really
Gorgeous.
cool. So that's the other thing I'm working on. And I'm doing the other works, and I don't really have another work in progress to show at this point. But I'm not a fast enough knitter to knit a bunch of gifts for people for Christmas, like scarves and socks and stuff like that. But I'm working on some Christmas ornaments and stuff. So that's a lot of my focus will be for all of it is the Christmas ornaments.
Right, and I'm starting a hat, which is going to be 2 color work, 2 color work.
And you have, or no, you did do color work before. It was
for the unicorn.
Oh, for the unicorn, that's right. Yarny the Yarnicorn.
Had different colored ears.
That's
no,
right.
And so what I'm learning, I'm trying to figure out how to do, and I think I did a little swatch of it 2 nights ago, which is upstairs, and it's janky anyway, but is trying to figure out how to do color work with Portuguese knitting. So, where you basically have 2 pins, and you use those to do the color work. So I think I've got that figured out. We'll see.
You should probably demonstrate that in our next video.
Once I have it more
Figured out.
figured out. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna start working on pretty soon. I want to finish these first, because if I'm not careful, these will be without fingers until like years from now. So I just want to get them done, get them finished, and then can start on other things.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so there's one thing I bought that I wanted to show because I just think it's the perfect solution for this. So we have a lot of individual circular knit
Needles.
Individual circular needle pairs or whatever they're called. We do have a pair of interchangeables, but we have several, like I said. I wanted to figure out how to organize them. We were trying to use like a
File folder.
No, accordion file. Yeah. And it was too big and unwieldy, and so it was like...
And it wasn't fun to look through.
No, exactly. It wasn't fun to look through. So I went on
or put
Etsy.
it in there. It was just, it wasn't inspiring.
No. And I went on Etsy and was looking, and there were a lot of options for knitting needle organization for circular needles, a lot of them had sizes labeled already, pre-labeled in there, and so some of them didn't go down to 0. Some of them, with the American sizes, you've got 0 through whatever. You don't have the millimeter sizes, but necessarily. But anyway, they were pre-labeled, and so I found one that I really, really liked, the fabric options and the style. So this is what the inside looks like. So you can see the little white, each little section has a white tab. And then what you can do, she included a, it's up here. Actually, she included a Sharpie so that you can write on there. John and I haven't decided if we're going to actually write on it or not, because we know that the first one is 0 and then you can just count up from there. But I love the fabric. It's these stag, what is it with us in taxidermy? Like with the taxidermy unicorn?
We live in Minnesota.
I guess.
It's rubbed off.
I love the color. And then so you just put your different needles in there, and then I've got a needle gauge over here, and then comes a little notions pouch built in with a zipper if you want to use it. And then you just tuck this here and tuck this down, fold them up, and then you use this to strap them closed. So I really, really, really like it. It was the funny thing was, I found this, liked it, and then I figured out, okay, now if I want to buy this, I hope it's not coming from some country where I have to pay $1 million in shipping. The Etsy store was Sunny Day Needleworks in Glencoe, Minnesota, 52 miles down the road from where we are. It was just totally by happenstance. And so, so she makes, I can't remember what all she has in her Etsy shop, but I know that she has a million different fabric options for this style of circular knitting needle thing, and she included a little cute little fabric pouch that she put Kleenex in. So that was kind of funny. That matched the thing. So anyway, if you're looking for a way to organize, we're not getting any, what do they say? No compensation. I just wanted to show you guys this, if you're like me, I almost love all the stuff and the organization of stuff that comes with knitting more than I like knitting. All the yarn and the notions. I know, right? So, yeah. And the thing is, I think in her description she talks about, you can store 12 or 16 circular needle sets. You can store way more than that because you can fit more than one set of circular needles in each pouch. So we've got, more than that in here. And the other thing is that I think another reason that we're not going to label them is because, these are really big ones that if we labeled this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'd run out and you wouldn't have a spot for these huge ones. But you don't need to. So
that's where the gauge thing is. That's where
the gauge thing comes into place. So anyway, I just wanted to show that off because I really, really like it. I think it's great. So I think that's all we've got for today.
Yeah, I think
it will be a shorter episode.
I just want to call out an important. So
here we go.
We found out about this. My nephew.
Oh God.
is also has a podcast. And he was
not really knitting related.
Not knitting related at all. So he and his friend basically filmed themselves.
How old's your nephew? Our nephew?
I think 10 going on 11. Their birthday's in January. So
he's one of a twin.
This is Patrick. And so he and his best friend have this YouTube channel, and it's called Daniel and Patrick Craziness. And it is 45 seconds of them being
on the
playground. Because I think they can have their phones before and after school. So they have to film everything either before they go into school, but after. So it's just them being crazy on the schoolyard, and so if anyone, we'll put a link to it.
What did he tell you?
They want to go viral. Really,
they want to go
badly.
viral.
Which is so cute. And they're very silly short videos. So
there will be a link in the show.
There will be a link in the show
to
notes.
Daniel and Patrick
Craziness. Probably, and maybe one of the ones that I think is particularly awesome. So if you have a moment, click on it, and they've got like 70 views on all their stuff, and I think it'd be hilarious to get
16 subscribers.
Yeah, I think you don't have to subscribe to it. You don't have to like.
Yeah, they do.
You don't do anything. You need to
we'll
look
just
at it.
Force Patrick to start talking about knitting stuff.
I know. So yeah. So maybe when we go to Christmas in Denver, we can do a podcast and have
a joint podcast, a podcast crossover.
Sweet tea, no shade. Daniel and Patrick Craziness. We'll
have to meet Daniel.
Anyway, it's funny that he was very impressed with the number of people who watch our podcast and that they're so long. So anyway, I just thought that was 100% hilarious.
Super awesome.
He's a very fun kid, and so it's yeah. It's funny because you'll see these videos and you'll be like, oh, that kid is, Patrick
totally
is...
related to John.
No, that's not what I was saying. But you'll like think it's like, oh, he's like acting weird or he's acting crazy because he's on a podcast. And no, he has that energy all the time. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, and in one of them, you can see his brother Aaron like walking past, looking really kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, I'm so much cooler than this.
So anyway, it's Daniel and Patrick Craziness, all one word.
And aren't there like 15 exclamation points after or something?
No, I don't think so. I mean, when they say it, the way they say it has 15 exclamation points after it.
Yes.
So if you want to look at that and they get, a couple of views out of that would be awesome. You don't have to comment on them.
Yes. Anyway,
that's,
moving along.
It was just funny because my mom came for Thanksgiving and she watched our
she
made her.
She doesn't knit.
She doesn't knit, but she loves us. So she watched a couple of the episodes with us, which was kind of fun.
Yeah. So we had a good time.
That's it.
All right, so we will do another podcast before Christmas.
Maybe.
No, I think we should. I think we should do something from Denver.
And then we have... So then the other thing we're doing, just to... Coming soon, is we are doing for New Year's Eve.
That's right. We have to talk about this real quick.
So we are going... We sort of started last year where we get some friends together and we rent... It's not off Airbnb, it's off vacation rental something.
VRBO, vacation rental by owner.
Oh. Right, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so last year we went up to the North Shore and went skiing and hung out. Which
is the North Shore of Lake Superior.
Right.
Which is part of the state that we live in.
Right. And so this year what we're doing is we're renting a house in the middle of Wisconsin.
Which is the next state over to the east.
And it's kind of in the middle of the state. It's near... so I've lived in Minnesota for 14 years. And I've always wanted to go see the House on the Rock, which is in Wisconsin. So...
and I'm going to get this wrong, but I believe that the House on the Rock was built by... a man he was pretty eccentric and he had all these weird collections.
I think the house's collections. So there's a Ferris wheel inside it. It's crazy and
not a Ferris wheel.
No, I'm sorry, a carousel.
It's a 9-story house. No, it's a
carousel.
merry-go-round.
Carousel.
Yeah, carousel.
So it's one of those things like that'd be amazing. Oh god, we're not talking about. But anyway, so it's featured in American Gods, which is a book by
Neil Gaiman,
and it's actually on. They made a TV series out of it that's on Starz right now. And so I read this book like maybe 10 or 15 years ago before I came to Minnesota. And I was like, wow. And a big portion of it's set on the House on the Rock. And I remember reading it being like, this is such amazing world building, and it's so crazy it must be made up. And then found out it was a real place. So wanted to go. So anyway, we're renting a house for a couple of days, about 20 miles from Spring Green, Wisconsin. And we have some friends coming with us, and two of our friends are super quilters and sewers and embroiderers. So I think we're going to do a podcast from Wisconsin, a remote podcast.
Yes.
And
Our friend Jeffrey watches quilting. I guess they have, I think they call them podcasts too, or do they call them YouTube shows? But it's all about quilting.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as the knitting world, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure people
watched
know
it.
that.
We watched, last time they came over, we watched one with him. It was actually pretty cool. It
Yeah.
made me want to quilt, which for my patience with getting stuff done, I can't imagine. Like, quilting just seems like you are marathoning that craft.
Mhm.
Like, my frustration when a thing's not done in 2 weeks. Like, quilts
I just don't know that I would be any good at it. I think the knitting I'm good with the knitting. I used to want to quilt because it makes quilts.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're done, it makes quilts. But I think it's like knitting. You're not knitting it to save money. I was like, oh, if you quilt, you save yourself money.
I mean, you save money because you're not buying handmade quilts.
Right. You're making but like if you were going to buy a pair, it's cheaper to buy hand knit socks. Well, that's not true. It's cheaper to buy socks than it is to knit socks.
Right. So anyway, so our friend Jeffrey likes quilting, and his husband Matt embroiders. So it's going to be a big old gay crafting weekend. And so I thought we would do a little podcast from Wisconsin and maybe feature them. So
New Year's Eve craft extravaganza.
I know. If I had told my 22-year-old self what I'd be doing right now, I'd be like, lame. So lame.
Yes.
So
but anyway,
lame.
we'll
But
do
we love it.
something
It's all
for
good.
them. Yeah.
So those are possible. So that would be like 3 podcasts the next month.
Yeah.
So we'll.
But I'd like to. Well, anyway, we'll talk about.
We'll figure it out.
We're gonna wrap up now.
now we're
let everybody go.
We try to stay on topic for knitting. We've gone.
No, we don't.
We do. I think we're okay.
I don't. You do, I think, but I'm bad at that. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We will be back again soon, and we will get in touch with our
winners.
Winners.
Yay! You're all winners.
Yay!
No,
that's all.
That's all.
I'm cutting you off.
All right.
Unless you have something else to say. Okay. Bye. Bye.